Not exactly sure why I'm doing this. I think I know what I'm trying to attempt. I'm also going to try to attempt doing a live, but like waiting for people to show up instead of just talking first. We'll see what happens. Let's see if people show up, I guess. But there's always a delay, so I'm going to know. Oh, okay, I see somebody. Right on. Of course, it's so small, I don't know who that is. Apparently, it's one person hitting that a lot. What does all these buttons do anyways? Really haven't taken the time to explore this yet. Someday I'll figure this out. Hey, how's it going? Supposedly there's a place I can comment back. Oh, is that how you wave back? Oh, no shit. That's how you do that. Okay. Right on. Hey. Actually, how many of you understand me speaking English? Hey. Been a while. So I was actually going to try and address that, hey, out of curiosity, why do you say hola to me? Do you think I speak Spanish? I mean, I kind of do, but not because I am Spanish. I'm always confused what people think I am ethnicity-wise, but you can see you like me a lot. Thank you. Hey, how's it going? So I'm learning how much people have like a very wrong impression about me, or the way other people view me. They don't know the way I've been viewing myself. So I haven't ever actually thought I was pretty. That only started not quite 2 months ago. I've hated myself my entire life. I've always thought I was ugly. I was made fun of a lot. I was bullied a lot. And I didn't even know that growing up. I just felt ugly and I thought they were telling me the truth. So I've been noticing how many people say things like, whatever, you know you're pretty. And it's like trying to tell people that's the thing. I've never known I'm pretty. I always thought I was ugly. I thought people were lying to me when they complimented me. So it just keeps happening over and over. But now I'm at a point where I do feel pretty. But I also know that just because I feel pretty doesn't mean anyone else is going to agree. I'm still going to have a lot of people shouting at me, telling me I'm ugly. But now I'm secure in that if I feel that way about myself, doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. That, you know, if I feel pretty for me for my own reasons, no matter what it is. Oh, thank you, Lyle. So I finally am actually seeing that about myself. And honestly, I think it's just because of the weekend I just had. I was out around Mount Shasta, participating in an ayahuasca ceremony. And I still don't actually understand that shift, but I can see and feel myself much differently. And it really is about me feeling different about myself, changing everything. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. People have been complimenting me a lot this past year, and they're complimenting me for things that are actually a sign of very severe illness. And I've been trying to tell them, like, this isn't actually how I'm supposed to look. There's these things that are showing that I'm very, very sick right now. And they're like, oh, whatever, you look great, though. Oh my gosh, Dad, no way. It's been forever. So I finally found out that block I did at that YBA conference in the volleyball, finally found out that was me actually reaching over the net. I don't know why I thought I didn't do that. I had never jumped all the way over the net before, so I didn't. I was just, it was so loud. Anyways, yeah, so people have so many interesting assumptions about me, or the way they think I know me, and turns out I've never known me accurately at all. And I'm finally learning that other people have seen me well, because nobody understood. The people near me kept telling me awful things about what I'm doing. So I thought I was doing terrible all the time. And oh, it's 12:12 over here. The numbers that have been showing up in the last weekend in particular, they don't stop. It's really funny, actually. But I just realizing that my funny little things I'm learning about myself, why I know exactly why I'm kind of late to the game on a lot of this, that other people have already been showing it to me, or I watch it play out among other people, and then I'm finally learning, like, oh, that happens to me too. I've been inaccurately watching my environment, thinking, oh, that's like me and that's not like me. Turns out I was right and wrong in both areas. And things are just finally starting to clarify for me. And not even sure what I was really trying to intend to say, but it's just people make so many assumptions based off of appearances and what they think someone knows about themselves. And I'm also learning how much I'm in and out with that one, because turns out I'm so optimistic that I only thought I was pessimistic because people lied to me about it. That's a very backwards thing I'm trying to figure out right now still too. But I don't think that people go around telling me lies or giving me inaccurate feedback about me. I think they're trying to be helpful. I think they're trying to, give me maybe not like the best way to tell me that I'm doing something not great, but I feel like they're trying to give me accurate information so I can gauge myself better in the situation or in the environment. But then I realize if people are doing that to me, it's actually they're the ones not paying attention, because this weekend really showed me once again that I am absolutely at peace with the environment and the environment is at peace with me. It's only people that go in and out of not being at peace with me and my presence in the environment and how I interact in it. And that has taken me a lifetime to actually become a conscious thought. Because as a child, when I was experiencing this outside, because it always worked best when no one else was around, when it was just me. And I now know it's because the environment recognizes me as safe. And so the environment keeps me safe even when there's dangerous things around. But they can only do so much when I've been around dangerous people. They don't have any control and influence on most people, because most people don't seem to realize they're connected or a part of it. But during this past weekend, in this ceremony in particular, there were so many interactions with not just the elements around me, but like the way they interacted with my senses as I'm starting to understand more the way my hearing works as a autistic whatever person, the sounds that I hear, the way I feel things through my various senses all at once, how that it turns out that is actually quite different than other people. I didn't know that. I'm learning to trace it, and I was having the most amazing experience. And I actually kept getting pulled out of it because of the sounds of other people there. And I know they weren't intending it, and I knew that, but I could feel myself getting irritated that it was kept intruding, and I kept having to search through the sounds to reconnect to the sound of the wind above the trees. But as I'm feeling, just the things flying around me, there's like bees and flies and butterflies. There's a winged ant showed up for me too. The different other things just on the ground, the other ants, other insects, like little kind of roly-poly looking things, but not exactly. Insects I've never seen before, but it's also been a long time since I've really been outside and camping and stuff. But they kept coming to me. I mean, they're coming to everyone, but they spent an awful lot of time actually on me, crawling around. And because of the situation I was in and the fact that it didn't bother me to feel them, because I could feel them when they were just flying near. I could feel like my hair moving from the wind, moving from their wings, and I could feel the difference between the different insects, and I now realize it must be the speed and the shape of their wings and the amount of air they displace. But I actually can feel the vibrations along my body as they moved. And at different times, I had so many times when specifically bees would come and land on me. And I'm just fascinated watching them and just seeing like the pollen pockets on their legs. And then I noticed it was drinking off of me. Like I now remember I used to watch as a child. And I realized it was drinking my sweat. And I thought that was kind of weird, but I'm just watching it, and it's like crawling all up my arm. And they did actually gravitate a lot to the left side, which is, I think, interesting for a ton of reasons. But as it's also tracing its way up the tattoos I've been putting on as a tribute to my family, specifically the Japanese side, which I also now realize is also holds Okinawan ancestry too, or Ryukyuan, once upon a time. And I had so many different experiences with so many different bees. And then when the butterflies showed up, I'm just watching them land all over my body. And then the butterflies start drinking too. And I'm just having such an amazing time because I'm just going through it. And I have my first, crying jag. And then a bee shows up and it's walking along as I'm calming down because I'm so depleted. And it's walking up my arm, drinking the sweat. It actually wandered into my armpit. Straight up, no joke. Wandered all around my armpit. And that's when I started giggling because it tickled. My arm wanted to slam shut. I didn't want to crush the bee. Having a really hard time handling it. Thinking about the sheer ridiculousness of being tickled by a bee who's drinking my actual armpit sweat during a ceremony where I'm just, starting to get hit with the pain of the realizations of what I've lived through. And I just start giggling because this is ridiculous. And it hung out for quite a long time. And that was even maybe only like a third of the way through the ceremony. More stuff happened. But I also started emitting a scream again that I now realize the way I'm a channel. I'm experiencing the pain of everything waking up. But it's the waking up of realizing what I have actually lived through. That even as it was opening up in the last couple months, it wasn't all the way yet. It's still not all the way. Because I hadn't felt any impact from it yet. Other than confusion and seeing more things clearly. But in that process, I can actually see me more clearly for the first time. And it has nothing to do with the way other people react to me. It has everything to do with the way I'm now reacting to myself. Learning my own patterns throughout life. Learning the different ways my features change or different signs or symptoms. And now I realize that I can look through old photographs of myself and I can trace how bad my health was and how much everyone around me didn't know it. But I now feel pretty, I feel hot, and I feel sexy, and I also know how much of the time I feel like a stupid fucking goofball, and I'm fine with all of it. Because I also know how tired I look, I also know how many times I just bit my lip in the last weekend, looks like I'm trying to pierce it to match this side. I also know it just like how much other things still feel bad, but I also know how good I feel, especially after seeing some pictures in my phone this morning that were from about a year ago and realizing how much better of a space I'm in now, even though I'm nearly as skinny again. It's in different ways, and I know it's improvement, and I've been going through so many layers. And my appearance, my experience of having my appearance is different than everyone else viewing my appearance from the outside. None of you saw what I showed myself in the mirror this entire time. So when someone tells me, oh, whatever, you're just lucky that you're pretty already. Like, oh, whatever, like, you're skinny. Like, I don't want to hear your problems. Like, I would rather have your problems. Like, just because I've started expressing these things about myself or, my awareness or my history, whatever, this is the tip of the iceberg to me too, not just you guys. This is brand new to me. And I cannot share everything I've learned just about myself because everything I've learned about myself has repatterned everything I've ever seen outwardly. I cannot speak to that. I don't want to. I already talk way more than I want to. Ooh, no, it's 12:21. But I feel like I got off track of what I wanted to say, but it was just, I guess really it just comes back to, again, don't judge other people by their appearance or even think that you know what their experience might have been of their appearance. Don't think you know. You can ask or you can sit around and watch and try and learn or like look back, but please stop making assumptions that because you like the way somebody looks that they actually experience something positive about it, because I know what's still being said to me. I know what I'm still going through. I know all the things in the past that haven't finished and they're still affecting my life and they're actually escalating because I know how much I'm growing all the time, and I know why I'm okay with the backsliding as I'm repatterning. I know why I'm okay with myself, but I also know how bad and awkward I've felt about myself this whole time, even in this last year, even in this last month, even in this last week. It all changed this past weekend. I'm brand new to me too. I keep trying to reintroduce myself to people and they want to keep saying like, oh, well, I already know you. I'm like, well, guess what? Now you're going to have to know the new me who knows more about myself, that is now being confident enough to say, well, you're actually at a different point than I'm at. Not necessarily you on your journey, but like your impression of me hasn't caught up to where I'm at. I'm moving that fast. And that's okay. I don't need you to keep up with me. It's fun to join up once in a while, but if you reach out and then just keep reaching out based off the last place you saw me, it's not going to work very well. But it can work out. It can get better. All of us need to keep readjusting. We're all making changes all the time. Every single person that we're watching grow and that we feel we're going, we're all changing all the time. Even if we're watching them backsliding and get worse, it's still changing. We're all adjusting. I'm not expecting anyone to match me perfectly or like understand me completely. I don't assume that at all. Like, I'm not trying to make you understand. It's just like, hey, there's an opportunity. I'm learning to talk. I'm learning to interact with people because I've been terrified to do it my entire life. Nobody realizes I'm not an extrovert. I just am finally deciding that it's, even though it scares me, it's okay. That turns out I'm not really talking about things that are harmful. Because I know how many things came out of my mouth this weekend about what turned out to be even worse as I started talking about it. I'm like, it's hitting me, the realization, because it's the first time I've said it out loud. I'm like, ooh, that's actually quite bad. And the people around me who heard it didn't freak out at me at all. And they started sharing things with me about their lives, and it's an opportunity to open up. When I open up, it gives other people the opportunity to open up. But I also didn't realize how much everyone around me had, because nobody knew who was near me, had already taken the opportunity to open up to me my entire life while I was silent. Nobody caught how much I've been tracking this entire time. But I'm also now learning how much they've been tracking because we didn't talk to each other. People didn't realize that when I was quiet, like how many people didn't talk to me, and nobody realized when people did talk to me who was near me and who said what, and who was nearby when they said it or who wasn't. Nobody knew I didn't have a countering voice to all what turns out to be bullying and psychological warfare and just really abusive and highly inappropriate. I didn't know any of those things. I'm learning now. I'm learning to not necessarily even draw boundaries with people. It's about holding my own integrity. It's about knowing that I get to feel a certain way about myself, and even if I feel badly in one way or another, I know that's a relative term. I don't put a moral judgment onto that. I don't put that positive, negative stamp onto things. I just experience things. And even when it's bad, like, I know there's information there. So when people say, like, I just don't want you to feel bad anymore, I'm like, well, that's not your call. I'm not rejecting feeling bad because I don't reject feeling good. I know how good I feel about most things when I still feel bad about others. But I'm finally learning that it's been unbalanced, that I've put a positive spin on everything, even though I only felt bad about myself and people don't realize what I did or what people did around me. I'm learning that, but I'm also, watching them realize, oh, it happened to them too, because I'm talking about these things. People that thought they had solved things for years and years break apart after talking to me. And it turns out it's because they need to, because they weren't looking at things, they were covering it up too. We all cover things up that were bad to just try and get by. It's a survival technique. But the other survival technique is to, lash out because there's an attack. But just because I didn't leave signs on my body that looked like I was self-mutilating doesn't mean I didn't find a way to do it energetically and psychologically inside and near mirrors or surfaces, anything like that. So I know how big a deal it is that this past year I, made a new account after I got locked out of my original Facebook account. How big a deal it was that I started an Instagram. How big a deal it was that I started photographing myself to look at, to start making these videos, to start doing anything, to share my writing. I know how big a deal that was. And other people who just like what I share don't realize how long I've had these thoughts that I've refused to share, and what happened before when I did try to share them. You don't know what my life is like, because I don't know. I know why I don't know what yours is like. That's why I readjust every time I interact with somebody. But I'm also realizing how many people think that they know me because they've seen some things. They don't realize how many things they haven't seen yet. Or like, they get the percentage wrong, or they're like, oh yeah, well, I can see you, like, you're amazing. I'm like, yes, and I'm also amazingly self-destructive. And I'm just learning how bad that was, and I'm just learning how to fix that. And that shifted this weekend. That's how recent this is. So just want to, also point out, like, how many people's posts I've seen that I'm connected to had a profound shift this weekend for so many different reasons. And there's so many different communities I'm connected to, and like how they explain, why this happened all at the same time, whatever. But I just want to point out how many of us are doing such insanely good work, how rough it fucking is, how exhausting it is. And I just want to encourage everyone to just keep going. We've made it this far. As tough as it is, and even if you're right now going right in the middle into one of the darkest nights of your souls, it's about still going, and that's how you find the way out, by not giving up. It is so hard to face the things we've been shutting out this whole time, or the things our brains shut out for us so we could survive. Now it's time to shift into a different way of being, a different way of living. Not just about survival, about thriving, improving, moving out of this, helping each other, the collective, because it's not just about people. It's about everything that exists, even the energy that exists between us. Please stop making assumptions. Please stop thinking that the way you were raised, or the way you think you were treated and felt, how that's necessarily reflected perfectly back at you. A lot of times it's actually the opposite. It's the mirror image. Please stop assuming things about people's appearance. Please stop assuming that you know what they're going through because you think that you accurately interpreted their emotion. It turns out most of my emotions are opposite on the inside from what shows up on the outside. I'm learning that is highly typical for people with Asperger's, like I finally learned I have. But I've also learned how that actually happens also as a function of intense trauma over time. And it's just, you can't assume when somebody picked up that trauma, how long they've been carrying it, what they knew before that, who was around them, who said the nice things to them. Like, oh, well, everyone loves you. You must know that. I'm like, why would I know that when no one ever told me? I found out recently how many people told other people around me, like, oh, wow, she looks amazing. That's great. She's doing so well. Nobody said that to me. Apparently they said that to, like, my sister or like other people around me, or like my parents, but people didn't tell me that. I didn't know. I thought I was just a little fuck up, So it's just, you don't know what people went through. I don't know what people went through. That's why I engage with them. That's why I read their posts. That's why I look through the pictures. But I also know how much they post that I can't get to because I'm also trying to go through my thing. But I also know how much I use social media to learn. And I'm finally learning how much people don't do that they literally just go on to say their own piece and then just like log off again. And like, well, that seems kind of weird. But, it's like they're not like me. And I've always known people aren't like me. But I always thought I was very average. I thought I was very consistent and very just normal. And I couldn't figure out why I was always being told I wasn't. Well, it turns out I'm exceptional. But I also realized, like, it's just a matter of perspective. Any way you look at it, everyone's technically exceptional. But there tend to be groupings in different pockets, it turns out. And every time I think I fall into a pocket or a group, I find out I'm one of the outliers in that group. And for me, that's actually really upsetting. Really upsetting. But I'm now learning to take some comfort in it. But I'm also finding in that puts me in another actual smaller group. And that's actually really kind of cool. Because I know other people will be joining us in that group as they will go through these processes. And I'm looking forward to when more people can join that area. And I'm looking forward to existing more in that space more often instead of going in and out of fear and rejection of any good qualities about myself. I'm not the one who thought I was good looking or pretty or sexy or hot or whatever this whole time. I never thought I was talented. I never thought I was smart. I never thought I was good at anything. But now I am much more solid in the knowledge that that was a projection put onto me. That wasn't reality. And I'm learning to have fun being me for the first time consciously, like as an adult, instead of just, the little autistic child who doesn't know what's going on, but is just delighting in the environment, forgetting like what's happening around her. I still do that a lot, but I'm back to being more comfortable with it. And I just want to just remind people that, if you think you're ugly and you're hiding yourself or whatever, it's like, I actually show myself because I don't like myself. I mean, like I said, that changed for me this weekend. I feel so much better. I do like myself now. But that doesn't mean I always like the way I look. Even if I feel like, yeah, I'm beautiful overall, like I might think I look ugly that day. It's not about me sharing it because like, oh, I think I look amazing. Sometimes later I look back. Some of them I've looked back and it's been nearly a year. And I look at the pictures now, I'm like, oh, wow. I thought I looked awful in that picture. And that's why I posted it. And now I can look at it and I'm like, oh, I actually looked quite good. Morning, Faya. Oh my gosh, so nice to see you. I just because you think like a picture I post doesn't mean, oh my gosh, hey James. Just because someone likes a picture I post, they think I look pretty or I look vibrant or energetic or strong or whatever, or sad because they see it in my eyes or in pain. I don't know. People see so many different things in my pictures. Sometimes I learn something new about either the other person or about myself when I look at that picture again. But other times I post those things so I can go back and look at them. And when I go back and look at them without any other feedback from anyone else, I find new things in my posts all the time. My photographs, my writing, my recordings, those weird videos that I don't know why I do. Even like this one, it will be, I'm sure, very interesting when I look back because I already can't even remember how I started this damn thing. But like, I look back at myself because I'm confused, but I also know how much I tried to self-reflect this entire time of my life and how much I literally couldn't do it in my reflection in an actual service to look at myself. I know how much I hated that. I know how much I wanted to shatter any mirror or reflective surface I ever saw because I thought I was that hideous. And I didn't like looking at my own eyes because I recently learned to give myself those hateful eyes. And I didn't want to see those eyes because I saw them so often from other people. And I didn't even know what I was looking at or what was looking at me. So when people say, oh, whatever, you're hot. Or like, whatever, you're pretty. Like, whatever, nothing. I knew nothing like that until very recently. And I only became more solid in that this past weekend. And I know why that's still going to be shaky and go in and out for a while still. But I also know how much I've improved. And I know how much people still make the wrong assumption about me. And that's okay. But that's why I'm speaking to this. Because you don't know. Is to increase awareness. Because I am not the only person who has experienced this about their self-awareness or their self-confidence or self-esteem. Or really what I experienced was self-hatred, self-loathing, self-mutilation, things like that. You don't know. So just maybe hang back and watch or ask a question, but don't tell someone something about themselves. Unless you're willing to hear their reaction. Because you don't know what you might be triggering and opening up them, or you don't know what you're going to teach them about themselves. When you learn something new about yourself like that, whether or not it's good, so like I have a breakdown basically every time I learn something good about myself. I cry. It hurts. Just like other people who thought they were good feel that way when they learn that they've done something bad. It is the opposite situation. As far as I'm aware, it is the same experience of that feeling of shock and pain. You don't know why compliments hurt me. And you don't know why I'm learning to deal with it. in my own way. So this is just to spread some awareness. Please stop judging people by their appearances. Please stop thinking that you're not judging them because, oh, I know you're beautiful, even if everyone else says you're ugly. Do you realize how weird that sounds to somebody who always gets told they're ugly to have one person show up and do that? It's very odd. It's scary. And even other times, like what happened with me when like hundreds and thousands of people showed up to try and tell me I was pretty or sexy or all this stuff. How scary that was. As I'm also getting all these horrific things screamed and flung at me. You don't know what other input or output, whatever, feedback comes to me from all the other people besides you. Exactly, Faya. It's very uncomfortable. So, like, whenever anyone has to face something about themselves that they couldn't acknowledge or didn't know, it's uncomfortable in any direction. People need some kindness in their interactions with others. When you interact, there's going to be a reaction. It's just a thing. Interconnection. It's an exchange. Because you think you're putting out something good. You expect it to be received well. I don't know why you make that assumption or expectation. When I do something to be nice for someone, I know how much I hesitate to do it. Because I also know how much I know that I don't know what's going to feel good for them. I know how often I've done something and people have shouted at me that I've hurt them. So I'm very hesitant to offer, and what I do to me never feels like enough. But I'm also learning how much those little things I did that I thought weren't anything meant so much to those people. But I also know how often I did exactly what they said they needed help with, and I actually went above and beyond their description of what they needed, and how ungrateful they were when I did it. Just because you give someone something doesn't mean they're going to receive it the way you intended, and it doesn't mean they're going to do with it what you thought either. You have no control over that. You put something out. What happens after that is not up to you. So you can change about what you put out, or you can change the way that you respond or react to the response or reaction to what you put out. It's just learning the give and take, the ebb and flow, being okay with what happens, even if it doesn't feel great. That's all. So I think that's probably long enough. Don't know how long I've been talking, but trying out that live, it's gonna be interesting for me to watch this back. But thanks for people for showing up. So hope you have a great day.